This week's Torah portion, Parshat Tzav, details some of the specifics of how various types of the korbanot, of the offerings, were offered, and then the food was distributed to the people or placed upon the fire. And then the last chapter of Parshat Tzav, Perek Chet, the 8th chapter of Leviticus, talks about the priestly investiture, how Aaron and his children formally became consecrated as the priests for work in the Mishkan, in the tabernacle. And the very last line of the Parsha says, ויעש Aaron ובניו, and Aaron and his children did et kol hadvarim asher tziva Hashem biad Moshe. They did all of the things which God had commanded through Moshe. So that's a nice pithy conclusion to the entire Torah portion. Everything we just learned about Aaron and his children did. Says Rashi, Lehagid shivchan shelo hetu yaminu smol. Rashi says, why is it that the Torah saw fit to add what's maybe a superfluous phrase, that Aaron and his sons did as God had commanded through Moshe? Maybe the Torah could have simply said, and they did this, or it didn't even have to say anything. Because as the Torah has been going, through the phrase that Aaron did what was commanded of him has been sprinkled throughout. So we know that Aaron's doing the right thing. So Rashi says that the Torah Parsha, the Parsha concludes here to tell us that not only did Aaron and his sons do what they were told, but they did it exactly right and they didn't waver or change anything. Says the commentary of the Maharal of Prague, the Gur Aryeh, the super commentary on Rashi. Ki ha'avoda inyan gadol v'chumra yeterahi, because the priestly service, the sacrificial service, is a huge area of legal ramifications, halachic ramifications, spiritual ramifications. It's very stringent. Halachot rabot yesh ba'avodah. And there's just a lot of different laws and rules and regulations. Umagid lacha katuv, and therefore the verse is coming to tell you, shelo shinu v'lo ta'u be'echad mehem liyamin u'smol, that Aaron and his sons, they didn't err at all and they didn't waver or change at all. Ki b'kavanah yetera, because they had incredible mental acuity and concentration. Uvadik duk gadol asazeh, and they were paid deep attention to every intricacy. Kain hudat Rashi. This is what Rashi thinks the verse is coming to tell us. Very nice. But now the Gur Aryeh goes on to quote another commentary, the Torat Kohanim, which is a rabbinic midrash on the book of Leviticus. Aval b'Torat Kohanim lo darshu kain. And he notes that in the Torat Kohanim, they don't have this same exposition on our verse here. Ella, what do they say? Sha'asu zeh b'simcha. The Torah Kohanim says that this line is to tell us that Aaron and his sons did all of these laws happily and joyously. L'kayem ma she'amar lahem Moshe, to fulfill that which Moshe told them, ki'ilu sham'o mipi hagvura, as if they had heard the rules from God's self. So what the Torah Kohanim does is it actually picks up on the last part of the verse. Not that Aaron and his sons did everything that God told them, but rather they did that about the things that were told by God through Moshe, biad Moshe. That's the phrase that the Torah Kohanim really focuses in on. It's the fact that all of these things were told to Aaron by Moshe on behalf of God, and yet despite the fact that they were told to Aaron and his sons by Moshe, not by God, Aaron and his sons do it all joyously. V'zeh yoter nachon. And by the way, the Gur Aryeh thinks that this read of the Torah Kohanim is actually more correct. Not that Rashi is wrong, but that the reading of Torah Kohanim is more correct, speaks a little better and poignantly to exactly the nuance and meaning of the phrase here. Because this is more relevant here. Ki derech olam, because what is the way of the world? Gadol shenitztaveh me'acher, that a person, a great person, a person who has a lot of kavod, a lot of honor, a very highly esteemed person, when they are commanded to do something by someone else, Einu oseh b'simcha, they don't do this thing happily. Shehu yishma la'acher, because he heard it from someone else. This person thinks they're so great and grand and esteemed. Why should they do what someone else is telling them or commanding them to do? That's how things typically work, says the Maharal. Aval Aaron, but Aaron, hayasameach, ki'ilu ba'atzmo shama. But Aaron is different. He did everything that was commanded of him perfectly, even though he didn't hear it directly from God. He heard it from Moshe, who was his own brother. You might have thought that Aaron would have said, oh, it's not fair. I'm well respected. I'm esteemed. Moshe is respected and esteemed. He's hearing from God, but I'm hearing from Moshe. And Moshe commands him to do all these things. Maybe Aaron would say, I don't want to do like that. Or I'm not going to do it happily. I'm going to do it begrudgingly. The Torah Kohanim is telling us that the meaning of our verse here is to say that Aaron, what's the real beautiful thing about how Aaron and his children did it? Did all of these laws of the sacrifices and the investiture of the priesthood, that they did it all happily. Not, of course, it's also great that they did everything perfectly, but more importantly and really more profoundly, what goes against human nature is that they did this joyously. Even though Aaron was such a well-esteemed, respected person, and he didn't hear it directly from God, he heard it from someone else, his brother no less, but he still did it joyously as if he heard it directly from God. So beautiful insights from the Maharal comparing Rashi and the Torah Kohanim, insights into the final verse on this week's Torah portion. Always a pleasure learning with you. More next week.